Okay, so yeah, for having a good topology, if you want to avoid holes, what you can do is to do the same as we did previously, but just don't connect these corners together. And just when you change this set of edges into a circle, when you do the extrusion, you can, I mean, because as I said, we don't want to have poles, what you can do is to connect the vertices which were uh, coming from, I mean, which are on the edge that we previously had in our plane. So previously, when before deleting these edges, this vertex was connected to this one. So they're, let's say, the lines that come out of them are these two. So I'm going to connect these two together. It's the same for these two vertices. Let me just put a plane just beside. Sorry, plane just beside. Okay. Here just put it. Okay, great. Again, a bug comes here for me. uh, okay, yeah, now I have it. mm, yeah, so I'm saying that, for example, previously we saw that these two vertices were connected together, which are exactly these two ones, these two. So I should have I should connect them over this circle as well. So again, since, as you see, these two vertices are connected with together, uh, I'm going to connect these two and do the exact same thing for these two as well. We're going to do this thing, this one. We will still have a let's say a triangle here. I will show it just in a second. But we have avoided having a pole, and that could be a good, let's say, uh, solution for avoiding having a pole and having your circle. And there's also one good thing here. You know what is a T vertex? For example, this vertex, if we didn't have this edge, would be a T vertex, because this vertex, I mean, this edge is not there. It's just like a T shape. But since we have all these, let's say, edges here, and they don't just stop here, it means that we are going to have a good topology in terms of not having a pole and not having T vertices. So yeah, just wanted to mention maybe this better solution. Any question? Okay, so one more thing from the previous labs. From what I remember, I showed you a website that could concatenate the let's say a set of frames with together and make a video for you. But if you remember, there was a problem with that. It could just put one frame on each second. So let's say if we had 25 frames rendered from Maya, we would only have a video of 25 seconds. And as I said, you can obviously use good video editing softwares such as, let's say, Wondershare, or there are many, I think. Yeah, I've forgotten their names. Uh, but I have also made a not this one. Let me just bring it here. Yeah, made a code here. I've named it converter, and it's just in the lecture lab feed channel that I'm going to reply a dot to it, that you can find this code. And um, let me just show you how it works. I'm not going to go over how the Anaconda works if you haven't done uh, let's say something similar to this to run a Python code, um, because it's just a Maya tutorial. I'm not going to cover that, but you can come to the officers and we can discuss it and see how it goes. But yeah, let's say in this folder uh, we have a set of JPG images, and I want to make them into a video like this that has, let's say, each frame, as I said, in only one of frames of the video. So what I will do is to just run the code like for Python converter.py, which is simple, just command. Let me just delete this video first and do the same again. Yeah, and then you will see this video generated. There are maybe a few things that I could talk about the code very fast. So we have an image array at the beginning. It just reads the images that's finished with JPG. If you, for example, have a set of rendered frames in PNG, you should change it obviously to PNG, and that would hopefully work. And then it just appends them together. Over here it just makes a video writer. Sorry, and this is the number of frames. So if you want to have, let's say, a good number of frames, like a movie, you should go with 24 frames or 25, actually I forgot. Yeah, but you can go even more, let's say 30 or 60 frames as well. um, and at the end it just writes all those let's say images on your video file, and it saves it at the end. So yeah, just simple Python code. And these import things are just the libraries that come from the Python, and they are not installed by default, so you should install them if you want to use something like this. And as I said, you can go with whatever solution you think is the best. It's just one thing to help you if you need to have a help for that. Yeah, any question? Yeah, and the code, I think I forgot to mention that I've found it from a website. I changed a few lines, and yeah, basically it's just you can find a similar code with that, just searching in internet, and yeah, that's it, I believe. Any question, any problem? Okay, and yeah, let's just start with the rigging. So there are two things when we want to do rigging. First of all, uh, you may want to download the character, or you may want to create it yourself. It's great if you can create it. I mean, if you have time to create it and you want to create it, it's great, you can go ahead and do it. But for today's tutorial I'm going to use this website named mixamo.com. Yeah. Then you should log in into it, but it's just completely free. And over the characters I've chosen this one, but you can go with whatever you want. And there are also many other websites, as we've seen, I think free3d.com and also CGTrader, and they provide a set of, let's say, different models, but there are some good models here, but keep in mind that they are already rigged. So when I download it, I'm going to delete the rig and do the rig myself to, let's say, learn how the rigging works. But some models in free3d or CGTrader are not rigged, and yeah, you can see there are, let's say, around maybe 50. I don't know if I don't have I haven't count them, but maybe around 50, 60 or something like that characters in different styles. And yeah, then just download it and go with FBX and in T-pose. I think you know what's T-pose, but T-pose is just this position that this character is just standing and has opened his arms. Yeah, any question, any problem? Yeah, so I will wait a little so that you can download this character. I think you can also log in with your Google account, with your Gmail, so that's not going to be really time consuming, and the model is not also really uh, too heavy, so you should be able to download it really fast. This one, okay, yeah. So whenever you have downloaded, you can just As you saw previous, you can just drag the FBX file into Maya, but I'm not going to first use this model. Uh, yeah, but we want to let's first see the um, overall rig uh, structure, and then we will go for rigging our character. Yeah. Any question? Any problem? Do you need time to download it, or you already have downloaded the model? Okay, sure. So we will wait a little more. And oh, also I forgot to say that if you think using your computer would make your room warmer and you cannot yeah tolerate it, you can just watch the today lab, and then I will post the video hopefully tonight, and you can see it after everything just comes back to the normal situation. Okay. Um, Please mention it, Robina, when you have finished downloading the character, because we want to first take a look at the rigging. It's not really important as well. You can wait for it to download. So yeah, as I said, because we are not going to use the model, let's just go a little and see how it works, how the rigging works. So there are maybe a few things that I want to say today, and I hope that won't confuse you, because maybe that's a little more than what we want in only one lab, but let's see how it goes. Yeah, so go to the rigging, let's say shelf, and from there, from the skeleton, create joint, or from this menu, create joint. You will be able to create joints, and let's just go, let's say here, and then I'm just going to, let's say, add a few of let's say joints. Just think it as a finger. If you just look at your finger, you will have yeah, three, let's say, joints that can make it move, and this is the last part, I mean the end of your finger. So you will have something like this, let's say, for a finger. And so again, go to the create joints and just put them in a way that suits what you want. And it's important to name the joints, but not for now. Let's just go with it, and then we will go to rig the actual character we will use it. So the great thing that joints give us is that you can kind of sorry, let me just yeah, you can kind of rotate each joint, and it will rotate each child. So that's really good, because you know, the creatures like us, when they want to move, they usually don't, let's say, stretch their bones. For example, we cannot move one, let's say, the last joint of our finger away from the previous one. We can just rotate them. So with having this I mean, ability to just rotate things, you can, as I said, move things, but it's just not the way that usually things work. Yeah, so that's a really good thing that would help us to, let's say, make a natural behavior for our, let's say, creature, for a human, or for an animal, or something like that. Yeah, and Yep, so let's just add some limitations. Sorry, just 1 second. Okay, sorry. Yeah. Um, so as I said, we can rotate things and make things look normal, and we can simulate the creatures. And there is also one thing that would happen in let's say a living object, a living kind as us. For example, we cannot rotate our joint like this, our finger joint like this, but here you will have absolute freedom to do these things, and you may don't want it, as obvious you want to have a simulated animation, a good and believable one, I mean. So here, when you go to your joint, uh, here in the joint, you would have, I mean, access to toggle these degrees of freedom, X, Y, and Z. So if you do so, then you won't be able to rotate the joint at all. But if you want to, let's say, only rotate it along this axis, it means that just going to rotate uh, to head upward, sorry, to head only downward. You will have to give it the ability to, I think, rotate along the x-axis, and I will tell you how you can. No, it's not the x-axis. I will tell you how you can understand how it goes and how it works. I think it's the axis. Yeah, it is still will have 360 degrees of freedom, and that's not what you want, but it's just a little better. And for seeing all these let's say axes on your joints, you would have to go to the display, transform display, and but sorry, before before going that, you should select all the joints. If you just go over one joint, you will only enable it for one joint. You can select all of them, or if you have a, let's say, big structure, you can go to select and then hierarchy to select all the joints. It would be really good if you have a really big set of joints. Yeah. uh, but for now we have these joints, and um, we will go to display and transform display and local rotation axis. Now you will see this Y, Z and X shown to us. That will help us understand how it goes. And that's also one good thing to just see here. We usually put the x-axis along the parent. The y-axis should usually face upward, and the z-axis is just the other axis that goes out of the, let's say, the model or the joint in another direction. Yeah, so as I said, we now have this ability to rotate it along the z-axis, but we don't have the ability to along the rotate it along the other axis, the other two axes, I mean. Yeah, so let's see how we can limit the movement here as well. If you go to the limit information and to the rotation, you can see that there are some options here, because we have just disabled the x and y. It's not important, but for the z, what we can do is to enable these, let's say for this occasion, these two limitations. And for here, I'm just going to say use this 0 by clicking on this arrow thing, or the, let's say, the smaller symbol if you want. And I'm going to, okay, so that's not what I wanted. Let's just uh, make it minus 360. Okay, so that's the other one that we want to limit it. We don't want it to rotate upward, so I'm going to say this one is going to be 0. So it's not going to rotate upward at all, but it can still rotate downward. And from here I'm going to say, let's say, minus I don't know, maybe minus 70 would be enough. So now we can only rotate it 70 degrees, and that's really good because we can kind of control it, and it won't go out of this, let's say, out of this interval. But one can say why we need these limitations, because we are going to make these animations, and since we are controlling the rotation of the joints, uh, we will take care of these rotations, and let's say we will always make sure that the other, let's say, degrees are zero always. But that's not the case. Sometimes I mean, you may think that you want to use IK, which is inverse kinematic, and I'm going to talk about it a little just in a few seconds. But yeah, there are some occasions that you want to have a, let's say, controller, and with that you will need to have, let's say, these limitations, so that the Maya won't uh, make things, let's say, ugly for you. Okay, so we have our joints, and one more thing is when you want to, let's just put a joint here, when you want to connect this one to this one, which means that this one is going to be the parent of the other skeleton, you will, let's see, where is it, you will use this connect joint, and I think we should, oh, first select this one. No, let's see how it goes. Sorry. Skeleton, skeleton, connect joints, and then first and second. That's great. Oh yeah, we should select them and then go to the connect joints. Sorry, I forgot. Connect joints. Okay. I don't know why it's not working, but that should. Skeleton, connect joint. Great. Or maybe we should go with using P, I think. Yeah, so I don't know why that option is not working, but the other way is to first select the child and then the parent and use the P key on your keyboard. It will just connect them with together. Basically it means that make this this joint child of this one, or make this one the parent of the other joint. So yeah, we will have, as you saw, this hierarchy of joints that you can control them to, let's say, do the animations. And let's say if you want to make your, let's say, the end of your finger to reach a point, what you can do, let's just assume, let me just put something somewhere, uh, okay, yeah, let's just assume we want to reach this point. If you want to make an animation, and let's say if you want to do it from here, you will rotate things until uh, we are kind of happy with what's going. Maybe we should make it a little back here, but yeah, it's just, we can rotate it in a way that then it will reach the object, let's say. But this is, it's, I mean, this procedure is called forward kinematics, that you are going to start from the parent, control the things from the parent, and then the next parent, until the let's say a joint or end effector, which are the hands and feet and head, would reach a certain point, or would do something for you. For example, would resemble something like walking. For example, when the character walks, the hands are also, let's say, moved. So yeah, that's forward kinematic. But sometimes you may want to control things from the, let's say, from the tip of the toes, from the end of the fingers, or yeah, and then the hand end of the fingers, or from the tip of the toes on the foot, or from, let's say, on the ankle, or whatever you want. That would be inverse kinematic, and it means that everything is going to be controlled by the, let's say, by one of the child joints, and the parents are going to be manipulated based on that. And for doing that, let's just see how it works. Yeah, let's say we want to have an inverse kinematic here. We want this joint to control the, let's say, the parent joints, not, for example, this one, but all of the other four. Sorry, let me just silence my mobile. Okay, yeah, so for doing that, let me see how it, yeah, we should go into the rigging option here, the rigging shelf, I mean, here, and use this create IK handle, or from a skeleton, that should be here. If, yeah, create IK handle. Okay, So what you will do is to select these two, and I think, no, it doesn't. Okay, sorry. I think first we should go with this one and then choose the first and second one. Now you will see this line between them. So let me do it again. First select the effector, the let's say the child joint. But first it's just that's the problem with this one rather. Yeah, first choose this create IK handle, and then go with selecting the child and then the parent joint. Okay. I hope things work correctly, hopefully. And then now what I can do is to move this IK handle, not the joint, the IK handle. That would request my finger to do something for me. Let's say I want it to reach here. Now it will just kind of solve everything I want. And then let's say I want it to go there. If we had that flexibility, you could also put some limitations for your sorry, for your let's say parent joint, so it won't let the let's say finger to rotate that much. But overall we can say that it just works and makes our, let's say, the last joint to reach the position that you want. That's perfect, because sometimes you may, for example, want to grab something, or let's say open a door, and then the hand should be on the, let's say, door handle while the character is still moving toward the door. You can imagine that doing the let's say the animations in that way is really hard, because the whole character is moving, but you should configure the joints in a way that at the end, the, let's say, the wrist or the fingers get near to the door handle to make it kind of seem natural. So yeah, this is one thing that would really help you for creating good and natural animations. And yeah, that's it. Any question? Any problem? We will see these things a little again at the end of rigging the character, but yeah, I just wanted to mention these parts. Any question, any problem? Okay, it seems that there are no questions, and let's just head into uh, using our character to, I mean, importing it into Maya and using it to, let's say, rig it. I mean, learn how to rig things. I'm going to drag my FBX model here, as I said previously. Now I have it here. And let's just make sure that the textures are also loaded, and that takes a little time, but yeah, they are loaded. Perfect. Yeah, so what I'm going to do is to look at things here before deleting the rig. So I believe what you can do is to hide your character, or I think there was also an option here, if I can find it, that would let you to see your bones through your let's say through your character, but that's not really important for now. Let's just go with it. And what I'm going to do is to, for example, see, you can see that it's really good because it just gives me lots of opportunities to rotate things, and I can, for example, I can make something like this if I want, for example. Yeah, so that's really good, and you can do many things when you rig a character. Let me also show you something. Yeah, that's one thing that I have done I mean recently. So yeah, so for example, I just wanted to show you that also works on animals as well. You can see it, I mean, you cannot see the rigs here, but it's just a game made by Unity, and you see that the characters, when they are rigged, they can, it's just showing some abilities of the game which we don't want it, but yeah, you can see, for example, you can make a peacock as good as you saw, but I haven't made these things. I've just bought them and used that in the game, but you can see that it just makes these let's say good animations, and that's all achieved by using rigs. So that's one thing to uh, consider. I mean, and see what's the, let's say, the application of the rigging. Okay, yeah. So what I wanted to say, yeah. After seeing how the rigs work, uh, maybe I just want to also show you the rotations. I think this one is not following the what I said, if I remember correctly. Let me just see. Let's just see it together. Display, transform, no, first select all hierarchy and then display, transform, display, local rotation axis. And I'm going to, there's also one better way for making it, let's say, transparent. We will talk about it in maybe uh, just in a minute, but yeah, let's just go to the wire, let me go to the wireframe mode. And yeah, it's just a little different. We were expecting to see the X facing to the to the children, but yeah, I mean the most things I've seen is that usually as I said, the X is pointing to the child, but here it's just different. But yeah, let's just ignore these things. But here, before, let's say, doing the rigging ourselves, we'll get some idea on how the rigging works and how it just let's say uh, how they have placed these joints on our model. So these are the hips, these are the knees, there are some joints in the spine, and they have just connected things. Let's see what's the call, what they have called that, to the shoulder. Yeah, and then I was thinking that maybe that is the collar. And yeah, they have just put one also on the arm, one on the forearm, and then one on the wrist, or they call it hand, whatever. And there are some also let's say joints for each finger. And as you see, it's just, I cannot select it. Yeah, because first it just selects the mesh. I will talk about how you can kind of make it work and you don't select the mesh anymore. But yeah, let's just go with it. You can see these uh, joints here on your model, and I'm going to delete the rig here, and at the end we will have our model here. So one thing that would help us, not only for rigging, but I mean many things that you may want to, for example, see something but you don't interact with it, or you might to make it transparent or something like this, you can use the layers here. So for doing that, just go to the channel box layer editor and add yeah, add this and create a new layer. You can name it, for example, I'm going to name it as character, and then you select the object you want and right click on your layer and add select, and use this add selected objects to add the objects that you have selected to this layer. Now with that, when for example you say T, it just makes your model transparent. Yeah, you can make it invisible, and yeah, with this R it means that you want to see it but you don't want to select it at all. If you can see that I'm clicking on it but nothing is going to happen. So let's just go with the transparent mode here. Transparent, also you cannot select your model, so that's good and helps you to put the joints in a way that you want. And if we go to the front view, yeah, before going forward, is there anyone who needs more time to set up the Maya, or everything is going fine for everyone? Okay, I guess everyone is doing okay, hopefully. And as we saw previously, I'm going to create some joints here, maybe here, then here, and then here. Let's see how it goes. Maybe not that low, somewhere like here, and then somewhere like here, and here at the end. Okay, now we have our, let's say, food. You can obviously change things after you created them. For example, if you're not happy with the position uh, of the knee or whatever, you can change their place. For example, you may want to do something like this to have a better let's say, what to say, have a better structure and make it more natural if you want. But yeah, I'm just going to stick with what I had previously. And what else? Yeah, so that's the left, let's say, foot. And I'm going to rename this, and I think you will see why it's important. So here you can, or you can also double click it here. Yeah, L underline, and this L, and then again the R, which is the right and left, indicating that, let's say, the joint is on the left or on the right, are important and would really help us to make things faster, and you will see why. Sorry. Left hip, and J is also for us to know that it's a joint. Now it's not a controller, or let's say, yeah, it's just uh, a joint. And this one is going to be left knee and then joints. This one is going to be left ankle joint. This one is going to be left, not left, sorry, L foot joint. And this one is going to be left toe, let's say, joint. Okay, now we have our joints, and there's also one thing that you may want to do, and that's obviously is a good thing to do, is to limit the rotations. I'm just going to go for the let's say knee for some seconds. I just forgot the knee here. I was searching for the word. Yeah. Yeah, so I'm going to add some limitations to the knee as you saw previously, and then we will go ahead in adding more joints. So again, we are going to do it by first seeing the, let's say, the axis. For doing that, where is it? Display and transform this. Sorry, first select all the hierarchy. I always forget that, and then transform local hierarchy, and you see it just perfectly aligns everything, and always the x-axis is facing toward the next let's say joint, or it just faces toward the bone, if that makes more sense. And yeah, we want it to only rotate along the y-axis, so I'm going to disable these two, and let's see how it works. Not this one. Oh, sorry, I think I just made these changes for all the joints, which I didn't want to. Okay, yeah, just select only the knee joint and disable the x and z axis rotation. And yeah, let's say we want it to only go this much, for example. So it's going to be go there, and we don't want it to rotate this way because it's not natural at all. So I'm going to put it there and set the rotation where it does well. Now you can see, as you saw, it's just going to be only there, and it's not going to be moved at all more than what we want. Okay. um, so yeah, that's also the uh, again, we wanted to see it once more, the setting the limits, let's say, for the knee, but you can obviously do it for all the joints, and all the joints have some limitations, and we want to just copy it and put it for the right foot as well. Because since this is a symmetric model, we are not going to have a real problem for doing that. So I'm going to go to the skeleton menu here. Where is it? Use the mirror joints. And the mirror joints, just think about the axis that you want to do the let's say mirror action is just, I mean, the plane that you want to do it with it. It's just a YZ, let's say, plane. And let me show you what's the YZ plane. If maybe you have some problem with seeing that, let's just make it this plane. Yeah, so the YZ plane is this one. If I can make it correct. Yeah, it's this one, and we want to mirror the joints along, I mean, with this, I mean, with using this plane. So obviously the joints would go exactly on the right foot as well. So first go with the YZ here, and that's why I said this L is important and can really help us. With the L, I mean, we can say to the mirror, let's say, action, that we wanted to search for L and put R instead of it, and let's see how it works. So yeah, I've then selected mirror there. Yeah, now you see it just um, puts the new joints for me. So don't forget to first select your joint and then go for uh, mirroring it. Yeah, and then if some joint is not let's say placed properly and it's not pointing toward the next joint, you can go to the skeleton and go to the orient joint option, and okay, uncheck this option. The primary axis is, as I said, X, because it's going to uh, face the next axis, and the secondary axis is going to be Y. Yeah, and then yeah, the secondary axis world orientation is this x-axis in the world. I will see how it works. I hope that works correctly. And then go for orient. Now you see that this one is, I mean, if you remember, this one was facing the other way, but we may want it to, let's say, face it this way if you want to, so to do so, to make it kind of match the other joints if you want to do so. Yeah, you just need to, as I said, go to a skeleton. You just need to play with these options to get the required, let's say, behavior, and that could also be the same for this one as well. Maybe if you want, if sometimes it just doesn't work properly. Yeah, it's like this one. But yeah, believe me, if you just play with it a little, it will just make things work for you. And this one is really problematic because the X is facing upward. Yeah, so all of them are having this problem. So maybe what we will do is to go to a skeleton. Sometimes the mirroring makes things have some problems, so it just, there's also an option that says orient children of selected joints, so it would change the orientation of the children of that joint as well, which is exactly what we want, because everything is just messed up here in some way. So I'm going to say orient, and now you see everything, the x-axis is always facing to the next joint. Yeah, I hope that I can survive the whole lab because it's really hot. Yeah, but yeah, after having these two, let's say, set of joints for the left and right uh, feet, we are going to go with the spine. I'm not going to use that much of, let's say, oh yeah, there is a problem here as well. We should have made it okay and then come back, but yeah, let's just, I will just move them for now. But before going forward, just look at, I've just forgot to do it, look at your model from each angle and make sure that it is located properly and all the joints are located properly. On my model, for example, uh, the ankles were kind of out of the place I wanted. I mean, if you only look at the front, it just seems okay, but if when I just rotated the camera along the character, I saw around the character, I saw that the ankle joints are not placed correctly, and maybe the ankles should be a little upper as well, but it's not really important for now. You will have more time to do it yourself, and since I've changed these things, let me just do the orient joint again so that I make sure that everything is okay, because we have changed this one, and then the rotation should also change based on that. Okay, and as I said, I'm going to go with the spine. I will try to do it as fast as I can because it's just not anything new, it's just using the one for hip, one for the spine here, and one another here. This is important to be exactly on the center. So these are not exactly on the center. Yeah, and I will try to put them on the center. But if that doesn't work, you can always come back and look at it from here. Move them in a way that they just come to the, oh yeah, because the other one is just along the x direction, so this one is a local position. It's not a word coordinate. This one, because it doesn't have any parent, this x means the local coordinate. But here, let me just show its children as well. Where is it? Display and local location. Yeah, you see that this one is located along the spine's x-axis. So you may want it to, yeah, but we will talk about this joint in particular. Maybe it's better to change this one's rotation, but not for now. Let's just go with it. And yeah, so let's just go ahead. I'm going to move it a little upward and do the same for this one. And also, I forgot to say, but I think it's rather obvious that these, let's say, arrow things or maybe cones obviously show the parent and the child. So the parent is on the bigger side and the child joint is on the smaller side. So that's one thing also that I wanted to say. I'm going to name these things. Okay, so yeah, this one is hip joint, and we don't use L or R because it's just placed in the center and we don't need to have two of them. A spine joint. I'm going to call the other one spine 1 joint. Okay, now everything seems to be okay, hopefully. And I'm going to go with the arms, and at the end we are going to do the fingers as well, but not for now. Let's just go with the shoulder here. Here, shoulder, then for the elbow, and then the wrist, maybe. Let's just call this thing, I mean, name these things as well. L underline shoulder joint, L underline elbow joints. Okay, and this one underline wrist. You can obviously use maybe better names such as hand or I don't know, forearm or something like that, but yeah, I'm okay with these names. Also want to make sure that the joints rotation are okay, so let's just take a look at them. I think they seem okay to me at least. And yeah, we should also check for the joint position. Yeah, so for example, the shoulder, it seems that it may be better to move it a little bit here. Yeah, and I'm going to go with for the fingers, and for that I think maybe going with the top view is easier. Am I going too fast before going more into rigging? Yeah, that's the problem, because I think we have a little more than one lap here. That may be a little problematic. Yeah, maybe it's better to just move the joints instead of rotating things. Okay, something like this, for example. And I'm going to again select these things. Skeleton, reroute, no, where is it? Skeleton, orient joint, and then orient. Yeah, everything is just harder when we are really in a hot. Okay, so it just messes everything up, and yeah, I'm not going to work and try to solve these things, but you can see these rotations are not really good, and you will always need to again go back to the skeleton. Where is it? orient joint, and you may need to play with things a little. For example, you may need to use the let's just use this one, orient joint. You may use the secondary axis word rotation as Y, because these are I mean the arm is stretched on the x-axis and we want to use the Y. It's a little hard to describe it. I'm not going to confuse you more, but the y-axis is the axis that helps us here, but for, let's say, for the spine or for the foot, because they are stretched along the y-axis, or they're, let's say, moving downward or upward, x-axis is helpful, but here y-axis can be more helpful, and you can see we will get a better look when we use that option. So yeah, I mean, it's just playing with these options and trying to imagine what happens, and that's going to be a little hard, but I think you will get used to it if you start doing things. I'm going to add the joints, and you can also use the backspace to undo one joint. And I forgot to say that when you want to finish, I think you have already understood that, but when you want to finish adding a skeleton, just press enter. Now I have my new let's say joint set of joints. I will rename them at the end. I'm not going to do it right now. I will rename them, but in the near future. Okay. Okay. And then here, that may not be the that may not be the let's say best places for the joints. What did I do to make that look something like this? I don't know how the colors changed here, and I'm worried a little bit that I may have made something mistake and made any mistakes. So I'm going to undo it. And honestly, I don't know everything from Maya, so yeah, I avoid having strange things. Okay. Um, create a joint here as well. So for the thumb, because it only has two joints, if you just, for example, compare it with the, let's say, index finger, you will see that your index finger has three joints, but the thumb has two. So that's why I've used two joints for my thumb, and unfortunately all these joints are placed on the ground, so I should move them up. Okay, and I have to place them in the perspective view. So yeah, it's just a process that really needs patience, and you should try to be as accurate as you can to make it happen. So it's here at least helpful to look at things from different angles and then try to place them by using the other angles, let's say, or the other views, if I think that makes more sense. Okay, I should move it a little down, maybe here, and then here, here, and here. Now you see you're starting to have something there. Yeah, and then I'm going to move it here, then here, and again, if you want to use inverse kinematics, which is obviously the let's say the opposite of forward kinematics in some regards, you need to set the limitations, and also limitations are good for you when you are even doing the forward kinematics, because you may forget to do things correctly and you may change the rotation of some joints in middle of your work, and then after finishing the rotation you will see that, oh, you have changed some unwanted rotations. So that's also important too. If you have time, obviously it's better to set the limitations accordingly. Okay. Um, okay, and let's just take a look at all the oriented vectors. Display then oh sorry, select first hierarchy and then display and local rotation axis. It seems not really good because we have changed the position of the, let's say, the finger. So what I'm going to do is to try to set the rotation of the joints as best as I can. So a skeleton, then orient joint. Yeah, now you start to see that it's a lot better actually. Now they are exactly facing toward where we want them to face. Yeah, and then by selecting all of them, I'm going to make them child of the wrist. But let's just first rename them. That's a lot of joints to be renamed. Okay, so this is the little finger, so I'm going to call it little joint. I'm also going to add some number there because there are many joints. I'm not going to bother thinking about their names. Let's just go with, okay, mess things up. Okay, maybe it's better to copy the name here and paste it, and at the end change these numbers. And the other ring, the other sorry finger is the ring finger. So I'm going to call it ring, then joint, ring one joint. I think we could have, I mean, you can have a better naming convention, obviously, but I'm going to go with the fastest maybe solution here because I'm not going to, I'm trying not to waste your time with these things. L, this is the middle finger. Oh, okay. Paste, paste, paste. Okay, this is the index finger. L, index one joint, and let's just copy it and paste it on the other joints. And the last one is the thumb finger, so I'm going to call L thumb one joint and thumb two joint and thumb three joint. Okay, now we have all our joints named correctly, and as we did, if you remember from the previous, let's say, scene, we select the child joints first, if I remember also correctly as well, and we will also select the parent joint and use the P, let's say, button to connect them. Now we have our beautifully connected, let's say, hand that we will hopefully be able to rotate the hand when we bind the sorry, when we bind the uh, mesh with the skeleton. We will also connect these things as well, but let's just finish the things with the neck and those things as well. So what I'm going to do is to again go to the insert joint. Yeah, it's this one. Okay, if you hold X, then it's going to be exactly placed on the let's say X, sorry, then on the ZY plane or YZ plane. So this is the neck for me, this is the head, and this is the top of the head. Okay, and then let's just take a look at the orientations. It's better to make changes before connecting the joints because that could make many problems. First, try to look at the orientation uh, of your, let's say, joints, and whenever you are happy, just do the final, let's say, rigging. And there's also one problem here. Let's see if I can solve the rotations. That's also important because when you want to model things, that should make some sense, because you are going to try to uh, let's say rotate it along some direction. So you may want it to, for example, be always uh, the bones should be always, let's say, along the x-axis. So yeah, that's one thing to consider. Skeleton, and then where is it? Orient joints. Okay, and it's not okay. I did a mistake. Uh, Orient joint, and then X is going to be the helpful one. Okay, so it's not going to solve things, but there is a big problem here. I made a mistake when I wanted to create the rig here. I can also, delete this, but I think I can get away with only it. I will try to see actually to only edit this joint. I want this joint because it's going to have three parents, sorry, three childs. I wanted to have a rotation of just like when you add the let's say a cube, you will see zero rotation. So the z should be like this, the y should be upward, and the x should be uh, should head to the left. I haven't done so previously. I will try to see if I can fix it by this one, but if that wasn't successful, you could also uh, do it yourself in another way, or in, yeah, okay, yeah, so that's good. Now we have our joint facing exactly like this, let's say this guide here, so that's good. And for this one, I wanted it to face the z along this direction, not the other one. I will try to see if that I can make any sense. I mean, make any change. Actually, I'm just getting melted by the hot meter here. So yeah, I don't have any solution for it for now. Maybe we can go with it, but keep in mind that it's not really good. So that should face exactly the other way. The z should be let's say on the blue, let's say, uh, arrow. Where is it? Orient join. Let me try to do it once more and see what happens. um, let's see. Okay, so that would make things even worse. uh, Skin, skeleton, orient joint. I think there is also another solution, but I don't want to use it. I think that's not what I want, because the okay, so now it works actually. Yeah, it works. Okay, so what I had to do is to go to a skeleton and then orient joint and use this minus instead of plus. So use the minus when you want it to, let's say, face this way. But again, it's just up to you on what you think makes more sense. And you can also use the models made by professionals to understand things better. I'm not a professional, so I would encourage you to go and look at the good, let's say, rigged characters and see how they are, let's say, how the rotations are placed, and that could really help you to get some idea. I'm going to mirror these ones. Oh, it didn't work. Okay. So let's just try again. I'm going to use the option there. I don't know why it didn't work. Skeleton mirror joints. That should work. Okay, I don't know what happened there, but now it works. And again, I'm going to go to the skeleton orient joints and secondary axis again as x, because um, the arm is stretched along the x-axis. Okay, now it seems to be better, but there are some problems, because you see that we want divide, for example, to be kind of upward, but it's exactly it's not exactly what we want. Let's see if I can fix it. Okay, by going to the minus it doesn't help that much. So yeah, it's the problem that we should just play with these options to see how we can fix them. Now the x-axis, the minus is not working as well. So let's see the, okay, so maybe if we say along the y-axis, it would say along the z-axis would be better. Let's see if that works. Along the z-axis and plus. Okay, so it's not exactly what we want. We want the z to point toward the front. So yeah, I think it's better not to waste your time, but you should always play with these a little to see how it goes. Okay. Orient joint, if we just make it to z, what would happen? Yeah, okay. I started to get into it, but as I said, it's just playing with these, so I'm not going to talk about it because actually I'm not in the mood to explain things a lot. But yeah, because I mean I'm just, I think, it's getting really hot here. Yeah, but overall you should play with these options to have a good let's say set of rotations and yeah, a good looking, let's say, character. I'm happy with it, but again, you may find better, let's say, options here. For example, you may want the joints that go, let's say, upward to face along the y-axis, or the joints that go over the right or left along the x-axis. But yeah, again, there are some, let's say, uh, options there that you will uh, change them based on what you want. And again, here I'm going to select these joints there. Actually, did I name the neck? No, I think I didn't. So let's just name the neck joint here, neck joint. And that's really important because it really helps you to, when you look at the outliner, it helps you to find the joint that you want. So let's say if you want to rotate the neck, you will just find it immediately by looking at the number of, sorry, the name of the joints. So I'm going to again select all these things and connect them with the spine. Um, and where is it? Yeah, should use the P option here. Excellent. And now we have all these three joints connected to the spine. Now, for example, let's see how it goes. If we just rotate things, it just, let's say if you want to have a bow animation, you can have it. So that's great. And obviously you can use more, let's say, joints for the spine to have better and smoother animations, but we are here to just see the overall concept, and then you will be able to uh, do the rest of the things yourself and make these ones parent of the spine, the hip, sorry, as well. Now we hopefully have the whole structure of our rig, and we are hopefully going to be able to bind these two together. So if, let's say, now if we rotate the mesh, I mean the, let's say, the characters mesh don't change at all, but if we bind them together, when we rotate the joints, the character will also the character, I mean structure, the character shape will also change. So for doing that, just select the root and the mesh together, and then go to a skin and bind the skin. Okay, I hope, yeah, you see it just automatically binds things, but we will see that there are some problems with it. It's not going to be really good. So but yeah, let's just, before seeing the problems, see the effects. You see that it just works perfect, and you can go with whatever let's say joint you want. You can just start playing with these, and you see, for example, here there are some, let's say, deformations here that may seem a little unnatural, but overall it's a lot better than nothing, having, I mean, nothing. Yeah, so you can see that you can play with the joints. Yeah, that's, I think, the first time that you see something like this, it's just really fantastic. I hope you have that, let's say, feeling when I saw these things at the first time. Uh, yeah, so let's just go a little more into the details and see how things work. So for example, if I move this finger, you will see some of the, oh, that's a little hard to zoom in. You will see some of the faces on, for example, this finger also take effect of the rotation. Although it's not natural movement, but you see that it would change the structure of the other faces as well, and that's not what you want, obviously. So let me show you how it works and how you can fix it, but obviously it's going to be a really long, let's say, procedure, and having a really good mesh would, you can see also, for example, when you rotate the shoulder, these parts take lots of effects. Maybe it's not really the best thing that you can get from the rig, and I will show you how you can fix these things, hopefully. But yeah, again, I forgot what I wanted to say. Yeah, there are some problems and we are going to fix them. Okay, so for that, I'm going to select the mesh and go to skin. But before going forward, any question, any problem? Okay. Am I going too fast? Should I stop, or everything is fine? Because again, getting feedback from you helps me to do things better. So please, if you feel anything needs to be changed, or if you have any concerns, please just mention them. Okay. Uh, where is it? There was some like paint weight. Yeah, paint is skin weights. Okay, now we get to the paint skin weights, and here you will see the let's say the joints, and that's why naming them is important, because now I will have some idea. Let's say if I'm not happy with the left shoulder, I will find it. Where is the left shoulder? It's here. Now you can see the let's say the effects of your shoulder. You see that there are, I mean, white means completely white means 1, which means all of the power goes to the shoulder to change the appearance of that face, for example, and totally black means 0. But you will see, for example, these parts, you may don't want these parts to have that much, I mean, your shoulder that have much effect over them. uh, Sorry, just one second. Okay, sorry. You need to, where is it? Yeah, you may need to use, for example, replace. Add means adding some value with it, obviously. Replace means replacing values there. So if, for example, you don't want your shoulder to have effect on these parts, you can, for example, go with the replace and use value 0 to make things 0, and the opacity means how much it is going to be powerful. Let's say if it's something less than that, it's not going to make it black at once, but if it's totally powerful, it's going to things black really make things black really fast. These things would happen, I think, less than what we see here if you have more joints. So try to I mean, not add too much joints, but add joints in a way that makes sense, and try to make as much joints, add as much joints in a way that you can control your character or your animal in a way that you want. For example, here I cannot have really smooth motions on my character's back. It's just, it would seem like a robot with only maybe 1 or 2 joints. Yeah, it's just, as you see, a very time consuming process. You should be really patient, and just, you may not see things as clear as I see because I'm using the monitor and you are seeing the stream, but you obviously see that there are some let's say still white areas, or let's say gray areas that you may want to make them black. And then here, if you see they are not really smooth here, because if that's not a smooth, that is, I mean, it's still a lot. If I would have time, I would, let's say, make these parts also black as well, but let's say we are okay with it. You can use the smooth to make the boundaries a little better and have a smoother, let's say, transition between the faces, to have good, let's say, rotations along the different, let's say, joints. Yeah, and at the end you will see that it will have less effect on our character, not that much, but maybe it's still too much, and you should just put some. You can see that, for example, it's not really smooth. Some parts still remain, and this part just gets into it. So yeah, it's just the matter of time, and you should just put some time on it to take, I mean, to get a good, let's say, set of, let's say, skin weights to have a good motion. Any question up until now? Okay, so if there are no more questions, we are at the end of this lab, but I'm going to show you a little bit of IK here, but hopefully, based on what we have planned, we will see more with IK and controllers in the next lab. Yeah, so if you remember, we could, let's say, put an IK here between the, let's say, the ankle and the hip, and that's all. That's something that usually works. I mean, usually when you want to put your, let's say, foot somewhere, you may, for example, use the let's say, the foot joint or the ankle joint. We are going to go with the ankle, but maybe foot is better because you can have more, let's say, control, and you can place it exactly on the ground wherever, I mean, you want to put your feet. So that's also one good thing if you want to do so. But I'm going to go with this one, but you can obviously, as I said, choose other ones. So what we have to do is to go to this rigging option, use the IK handle. We should choose the left ankle and then the hip. Okay, that doesn't work. Go to this IK tool. Okay, I forget sometimes how it works. IK, sorry, IK. Then, so there are some effector here. So let's just go back and see if I have done any mistakes. Because there is an effector. Oh, it's in the, okay. So yeah, sorry, let me just. Okay. Then this one. I think it's, yeah, it's just there, but I think I have had two IQ handles. Maybe I've missed, I've made something problematic. Let's just see if it is attached or not. No, it's not. Okay, so let's just do it again. Sorry. We want to attach the ankle to the hip. For that, I'm going to go to this option, select the first one, and then the second joint, and now you see it starts getting us a very nice. Again, you can make the skin weights okay, but just look at the overall structure. It feels really good. It just seems that you are exactly moving your foot, and that's perfect. You can try to have lots of good animations with it, hopefully. So yeah, it gives you lots of control. There's also one more thing that uh, may be useful. Sometimes the IK would change the rotation of your foot a little as well. You may don't want it. So for example, the ankle is going to rotate a bit here. You may want it to, let's say, be constant, or you may don't want to only control things with an ankle, which is a little small. Uh, what you can do is to, for example, here, go to curves, add a small circle here. I think I should make it 10 times bigger, put it here, and I'm going to stretch it a little along this z-axis to make a foot thing. And then what I will do is to for example, put it here. You can put it wherever you want. And then what I'm going to do is to select the uh, circle here, and then select the handle. Handle is exactly the IK thing that we had. And I'm going to do a constraint between them. But before going forward, it's important to make things 0 here. But if you just put 0 here, it obviously goes to a 0 point, which is not what you want. We want this position to be the 0 position of our, let's say, of our ellipse. For that, we go to modify, freeze transformation. It just gets into 0. Now, whenever you want your foot to get back to its initial position, let's say you have done many animations and you don't want to remember, let me just go back and show you the numbers there. You don't want to remember all these numbers for all the, let's say, for all the controllers you have. So it's a very good habit to first freeze them, so it just gets to 0 0, and then whenever you are not happy with the position of your joint or whatever, or its rotation, for example, you can always go back, make things 0, and then start from there. That's a really good thing to remember. uh, yeah, and then select these two, go to actually I forgot that constraint, exactly, okay, constraint, and then do the point. Now, for example, if you move your, let's say, your foot, it just moves everything with it, and that's a really good thing you should have, because it just makes things a lot easier for you to have it. I think also, if I remember correctly, you can put some colors on it. If I can find it, it helps you to differentiate between different controls, but that's just a visual thing. If I can find it, I will show it here, but if not, I will show it in the next, let's say, lab. Yeah, it's in the shape, it should be in the shape, but I forgot in which. Yeah, no, not the outliner color, maybe not this one. Bounding book, drawing overrides. So it's under object display, drawing overrides, and then enable override. You can select the color. For example, I think green color is usually used for left, right is usually blue, something like that. So it's not really important, it's just some conventions, and you can easily define your own, let's say, definition, or yeah, it's really hot, or oh, I forgot what I wanted to say. Define, yeah, or just follow the conventions. If you just take a look at a few maybe rigged models with controllers, I think you will find these conventions, but that's not really important. It's just visual things. Okay, the last part, as I said, the rotation is still a concern. You may don't want your rotation to change. For example, here you see that your foot is kind of horizontal, but when you move it upward, it just starts to get downward. I mean, your foot is going to rotate a little toward the, let's say, the down, the let's say, toward the down direction. Yeah, toward below. Yeah. So for doing that, let me just put it as 0 here. Okay. For doing that, I'm going to yeah, 0. I'm going to, where is it? Yes, first select the controller I had. You should also check, name these things. For example, left foot controller, something like that. That would make sense. And also this one should be also named, but let's just put it here for now, because we are running out of time. I don't want to make it as long as longer than it is. Okay, so first select your controller and then your ankle, and with that you go again to constraint and go to the orient. Now your let's say IK cannot rotate your foot. Oh, it can still. That's perfect. So I think maybe the order is wrong. So first left ankle and then the controller. Hopefully that would work. Orient. Okay, it still, but yeah, you can, what you can do is to rotate it along the Z direction. Okay, not the Z, along the, or maybe the Y direction. It's not Y, so it's X. So yeah, I think maybe it's the other way. First the left foot and then the ankle, and then constrain orient. Hopefully that would work. Okay, that's, oh yeah, there is also one option there that you should select. It's not now it's working, but you should select the maintain offset, which is selected. That's perfect. Again, Maya is going to mess everything up, and that's perfect. So I think maybe there are a few mistakes here. Let me see if I can solve it. So now nothing works. Okay, first we should select the I forgot again, but let's see what happens here. Sorry, I think there's also one problem here, that we have changed the rotations. I don't know why it has changed the rotations. It wasn't this previously. I think it's now correct, hopefully. Okay, 0 0 0. Okay, now I think it should be okay. Now if we select, let's see if now the IK is working still, but there are some orient constraint. Let's just delete it as well now. Okay, so that's one thing. Let's just go back and try to okay, so I think, yeah, and then after having this constraint here, left with controller, which seems to, okay, that's perfect. I don't know why I can handle. Okay, so that's the other way. Sorry, I always forget the order. Is that the order that we want? Point, left with controller. Okay, so that's the other one. Constraint point. So first we main. Also, I think you should go with the maintain offset. Hopefully that if that works. So first this one, then for that the other one. Constraint point, maintain offset. Add. Okay. Now it doesn't move things for us. Okay. Now we have a good point. Let's say controller, and for the orient controller. For the orient controller, where is it? Again, first select the left foot. I'm just trying not to mess things up, and then go to the ankle. Where is it? The skeleton. No, sorry, constraint, orient, maintain offset, and maintain offset. Now I think everything should hopefully work. Not this one, sorry. The left foot controller. Yeah, now you see that the rotation is not changed, but again, it may not be what you want. It always tries to make things work, but yeah, again, it might not be what you want, but yeah, obviously it's one thing that could be helpful if you want. And again, don't forget to freeze your controller first and then set things, because that would really make things really hard for you. And also, yeah, 0 is, if we have done, I mean, if we did the, let's say, the constraint with the position, if the rotation was changed, we could also I mean, again, freeze it and then do it. I'm not sure if the rotation is changed. I think it's changed, but yeah, you get the idea. You first freeze everything, make sure that before you're doing the constraint or setting the controller, everything is set to 0, so that you make sure that the 0 point is there, and then you can start controlling things with your controller. Yeah, and then the order is really important. I always forget it, but it seems that it comes from the controller, the one that wants to control your point, and then into the joint or into the object that is going to control your controller. So first select the first object, then the second object, and then go for constraint, and point is for the position, orient is for the orientation. Okay, I think everything is hopefully finished now. But yeah, you are welcome to ask questions, and I will stay until 4:50 here to answer your questions if you have any. You're welcome. Yeah, so see you all in the next let's say lab. But before going, you may want to only see the assignment. It's just nothing. It only says um, yeah, a custom biped rig, and then it just asks you to submit a few things, and it doesn't ask you to do any human IK, but I think in the next lab we will do it. And try to also put those joints that should be on the center or on the middle, let's say line, exactly on the middle, so that they uh, are, let's say, placed correctly, and then you can modify your model as you want. Yeah, but that's it.